I'm a white heterosexual Christian male that wears a cowboy hat and makes videos in his truck with a dog in the back seat. I am public enemy number one.
My eyes were opened to the reality of what the heck was actually happening in our schools and cities and communities and government with the overreaching government.
If we don't get back to certain foundational values and direction and a vision for that, our kids are lost. We're seeing that.
We're teaching kids about why we should love our country so much through America's stains and faults. If we're going to be inclusive, then why can't everyone be included?
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Chad Prather Show. We sure appreciate you tuning in. Wherever podcasts are offered, we'd love it if you would go leave us a 5-star rating. I think that's what we deserve. You can leave us a review too. You can say whatever you want to say. You can say good things. I like words of affirmation, but if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. But leave the review. We want it. And if you're watching us, I don't know, YouTube, Rumble, wherever you may be watching, hit that like button and share the episodes with your family and friends. Go back and get caught up on some of the episodes as well. We've had some fun conversations, and some of these episodes I've just been talking to myself, which, just climb into my schizophrenia. It's a good time. I want to get into a couple of things today that I think you guys are going to enjoy. This is going to be a conversation just ripe for this audience, and I think you guys are going to love not only the conversation but the person that I'm talking to. And so I want to welcome to the program Jill Simonian with PragerU Kids. Y'all are familiar with PragerU, and now you're familiar with Jill Simonian. Jill, how are you?
Hi, I am so great. I'm happy to be here with you. And yes, I absolutely believe you deserve the 5-star. 5 stars.
You know
We
what?
haven't even started yet.
As a man, first of all, as a man and as a 51, almost 52-year-old man, I need all the stroking of the ego that I can possibly get. If you notice that men, the older we get, I don't know if the estrogen starts to kick in of the heart, but we just want to kind of nest and cry, and we just kind of, we really need, we need to be babied and coddled a little bit. It's a sad situation. As a married woman, I'm sure you've seen this in your own husband. Yeah.
You know what? I have. And maybe like a couple years ago, I was trying to push back and resist it and stop the inevitable. Like, you're turning into an old man. And my
Yeah.
husband is not old. But we're right smack dab in middle age. But the last year, I'm kind of like, okay, we're fine. This is what happens. We just want to stay home. And guess what? That is a very blessed way to be. If you are happy at home, laying on the couch and just enjoying, how lucky is that?
I call it the bring me something phase of life. I just want I want to lay there and you bring me something. I don't
Sure.
give me the remote control, make sure the batteries work, and as long as I have the DoorDash app, I'm in good shape. To read your bio is impressive. You've done it all in terms of television and broadcasting and news, media. You had the Fab Mom blog, which is great. And now you're with PragerU. Give us some fast facts about Jill real quick. What do people need to know? Like, where did you come from? Because it's quite a bio. There's no way I'm going to read all that stuff. It's breathtaking.
No. Thank you. Please don't read it at all. It's very embarrassing because, it's like inevitably you don't know where, it's like, okay, which bio was found and which bio was given to Chad? Was it like the crazy long one that is completely unnecessary or like the succinct one? So long story short, born and raised in California, Central California area. I am Armenian American. My great grandparents fled to the United States almost, maybe, over 100 years ago to escape genocide that was happening in Armenia. Love America, raised to love America, went to church with my family, always wanted to perform as a little girl, moved to UCLA, started working in television by a miraculous twist of fate after college. And I worked in really great capacities where I was an entertainment reporter for a bunch of different channels, some Los Angeles local, some national. I would do red carpet interviews, got married, had babies, decided that I wanted to stay home a little bit more, started blogging, and then started doing parenting segments on television, parenting lifestyle segments, all things that were very fun, pop culture, completely shallow, self-admittedly, but fun. And then lockdowns hit in 2020, and my eyes were opened to the reality of what the heck was actually happening in our schools and cities and communities and government with the overreaching government. And I was like, what?
Mm.
And I haven't gone back to mainstream media since, because the CEO of PragerU in 2020 found me on Facebook and reached out to me and said, we're going to start something at PragerU that we've never done before. And it's going to be for parents and it's going to be for teachers who want to educate children and really teach them the beautiful blessings of America. And do you want to come on board and help me start it? And I said, sure, okay. And we didn't know what we were going to do. And we just sort of jumped in. And it started with 3 of us in 2021 was when I started here. And our team at PragerU Kids has now expanded to, gosh, I think it's like over 30 people. And we've created more than 800 videos, worksheets, lesson plans, all educational standards aligned for kindergarten through 12th grade for parents to use at home. And also now for teachers in schools, should they see fit. We have some school partnerships, state partnerships that we've worked on, which we can talk about later. But we're thrilled about it because we're teaching kids about why we should love our country so much through America's stains and faults.
I love what you do. I love your voice. You're so good at it. And obviously, you've got a long history of doing it. I am one of the ones who I've not only promoted PragerU as much as I can with the curriculum and PragerU Kids, and I try to share it on my platforms when the opportunity arises. But whenever someone wants to get into a debate with me, a lot of times I will just send them a PragerU video link and say, here, watch this. And I love it when people say, yeah, but that's biased. It's PragerU. And I'm like, okay, first of all, everybody's biased, but watch the video and tell me where it's wrong. I mean, everybody has a bias. So
Mhm.
I love PragerU. I love what they do. And I know a lot of people, as a father to 4 who we homeschooled, and my kids turned out amazing. Just pat myself on the back and their mom on the back, and it's gotten well, I won't say easier, but the resources have become so much more readily available. PragerU has done a phenomenal job of
Thank you.
of putting those values out there, because I think that's where we're at as a country, as a society. If we don't get back to certain foundational values and direction, and a vision for that, our kids are lost. We're seeing that. I read one of the bios that I read of yours, and it's so funny because you got a great sense of
Uh-oh.
humor. You have a great sense of
Uh-oh.
humor. Hey guys, let me ask you a question. Do you feel like our country is going in the right direction, or are we sort of kind of falling apart? Well, if you're feeling alarmed, you're not alone. I feel the same thing, and a lot of people do. That's why a lot of Americans from a lot of different walks of life are taking action right now to prepare for whatever's coming next. And it starts with having an emergency food supply. Storing food in your home, it's the right thing to do because, hey, we live in crazy times and you never know what's coming next. So a lot of people, they're out there preparing. Right now, you can get ready as well with the 3-month emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply. It comes with delicious food. And let me tell you something. Their 3-month emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply is fantastic. You need to get one kit for every member of your family. I mean, it's got food you wouldn't expect in there, like creamy stroganoff, honey wheat bread, mushroom rice pilaf. The entire kit is going to offer 2,000 calories every day, and the food kit's going to last up to 25 years in proper storage. And who knows what the country's going to look like by then. Just be ready. So when that day comes, you'll know you got what you need. So go to preparewithchad.com and order your 3-month emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply. Go to preparewithchad.com. And
I'm nervous. I'm nervous.
you talked about whenever you found out that you were pregnant. You were
Oh,
you were
yeah.
a newlywed. You said you saw the little pink line or the pink cross
Mhm.
on the test, and you screamed an F word, and it wasn't
Mhm.
fabulous. And
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
thought that was
You
so.
caught me, Chad. Oh my
So
gosh,
you
the
got
past is
ambushed.
coming to face me in the face. Yes. I was and here but here's the thing that I really want to hone in on. First of all, was not my proudest moment because my kids now, Chad, I can't even tell you. They are, and I say this with the deepest joy. Yes, of course, parenting is hard and motherhood, everything's hard, everything, but they are the center of my life. They
Amen.
are the light of my life. I am so thankful. Literally every day, I'm like, thank you, God, for bringing the first baby when you did, because you know what I mean? I can't imagine anything any different. However, at the time, I was still under the spell of this what we like to call this toxic feminism
Mm.
that is so overpowering now to so many young women. And I see it now, like, now that it's like, it's like I'm 20 years past my 20s where I have wisdom now. And it's like I look at these young women who are obsessed with the career and don't get married yet and don't have kids yet, which I agree with. I loved being able to explore career goals and accomplish things that were on my list that I wanted to do, as I was growing up. And young women should not look away from those, and
Sure.
middle-aged women shouldn't look away from those. If there's something that we want to contribute from, if we want to offer something extra outside of the home, absolutely we should be able to do that. But I was under this spell that if I had a child, oh my gosh, my life would be over
Mm.
and I would never be able to do anything else. And it was a wicked spell, and it was a wicked brainwashing, I call it, from all of these feminists to trick me into thinking that, so that, how sad. I just married. I find out that we're going to have a baby, that we've been blessed with a baby. And my first instinct is, oh my, no, no, no. And I drop an F word. That's terrible. Not my proudest moment, but I know better now.
I love it. You went excuse me, I got choked up laughing. You went on to say that when you found out you were pregnant for the second time, you probably should have taken a sex ed class.
I know. Yeah,
That's
probably.
hilarious to me.
Thank you.
That's hilarious.
Oh
But no,
man.
and
Thanks.
because you at that point in time, did you know you were going to be going into the TV and broadcast industry? I mean, was
I
that
was
your
in
goal at
it.
that point? You were in it, so I
Yes.
could
So
see
I
where
was
you're
in
like, "Oh
it.
god, this is the kiss of death."
Yes, I was in it, and I had just started out at this cable network, which started out as a fantastic network. It was called Reels Channel, and I was on the launching team. I was one of the original hosts.
Mhm.
And it's funny now because if you look at the lineup of all of us hosts, one of them went on to work in big network television. Another one went on to be a network news anchor. Another one's working at Entertainment Weekly. We all sort of found our way. And it really was a special place, but I was in the middle of it. And my career was like, okay, launch pad, and we're taking off, and we're taking off. And then, it's like I got another job hosting a show on Travel Channel called America's Worst Driver, which it's like you take these jobs when you're young, so excited, and then if you're brainwashed by the toxic modern feminist movement to think that discovering that you're expecting is going to end your career. I mean, that's where I was, but obviously it didn't. Obviously it didn't. And that's one thing that, even at PragerU Kids, we have a couple shows that are geared towards older high school kids. One of them the series is called How To. And we got a lot of heat for this two particular episodes that were talking about like young men and young women. And the episode about young women was saying, like, young women, don't be afraid to embrace your feminine side. Don't be afraid of what the gifts that femininity can bring. And almost every single leftist that comes across that
Mm.
video tries to hit us hard with how we're corrupting the youth to embrace, young women to embrace their feminism. It's
Uh,
ridiculous. But these are messages that I wish I had heard when I was younger.
yeah. I can't imagine, I mean, I would listen to Harrison Butker give a speech at Benedictine College, which is a private Catholic school. He
Yeah.
is a private Catholic citizen who
Mhm.
gives a very private Catholic speech, right?
Yes, I
And people
remember.
and people lost their mind. I saw this thing and I thought, I don't see anything demeaning or degrading or
Mm-mm.
defeminizing or de-empowering with that thing at all. But that's I don't know. My brain help me climb into that because you say you were brainwashed and help me climb into why people see those things Well, let me add one more example to that,
Yeah.
and I wanna hear your take on this because what is that podcast? Is it Whatever, where they put the girls around the table and they just make them look stupid? Is that what that's called, Gio? Is they always have a panel of girls. I think it's called At Whatever,
I have
and
no idea, but I'm gonna look it up
you
after this.
gotta look it up. A lot of people that you know and a lot of people I know have been on it, and it's interesting because they have the different opposing sides, and then they have some of I don't know. I can be mean, but I'm a comedian. They have some of the bubblegum chewers on there who just really have never had a collective, intelligent,
Right, right,
critical
right,
thought
right,
in their
right.
life. But I saw a clip this morning and I shared it to my Instagram reel where this woman, very articulately, was saying, "Listen, the same jobs that women have today are the jobs that women had 100 years ago in America. Like like most of the jobs, they don't." Go over into the jobs that are traditionally held by men. There are some anomalies, but by and large, that's the case. And yet women are talking about their empowerment, but yet, when somebody has to be drug out of a river or, in the icy cold, it's usually not a woman doing that or not that they can't do it. Or again, I hate that I even
Right,
qualify
right,
these
right.
things, but again, these things that are traditionally a man's role to do, like those haven't changed in 100 years of this so-called equality movement and the feminist movement, and these girls had nothing to offer back. I mean, they you could literally watch their brains short circuit while this woman was spouting her facts. And it's like it wasn't mean-spirited. And I think they perceive it like a Harrison Butker speech. I didn't think that it was mean-spirited what he
Mm-mm.
said, but they perceive that as an absolute attack.
Yeah.
What's your take on that? Can you dig back into that mindset a little bit and say this is like why is that so offensive? Hey, I just got off the phone with my buddy Trey over at United Patriot Coin. They got something new going on that I think is pretty cool. A lot of you have seen that one of their gold and silver Patriot packs. I've promoted them for a long time on my social media. Their packs come with those 8 individual coins in the bars at a low price point, so they're a great way to start your precious metal stack. It's a great way to get into this. It's a fun hobby, but it's also a valuable hobby. And it'll also add some barter power to your bug out bags. So, like everything else these days, man, the Patriot packs, they're evolving. And now the 1 ounce silver rounds included in the packs can actually be snapped apart into the 4 separate sections. I've shown you that before. It's really cool how that happens and how that works. It's like having a $20 bill that you can tear apart and pay for things in increments of $5, except it's made of pure investment quality silver. Now, with the crazy election season that's going on, multiple fronts of wars, and inflation that just doesn't seem like it's going to go away anytime soon, the demand for gold and silver is obviously on the rise. That's why the Patriot Pack has become popular as a way for people to stockpile gold and silver so their buying power is protected no matter what comes our way. And man, stuff is coming our way. Each pack includes 8 pieces of small denomination silver and gold, so you'll always be prepared. And with that snap apart silver, it's even better, man. It's really cool. So if you use promo code CHAD10, pay attention to what I said, CHAD10 at checkout, you're going to get 10% off your first Patriot Pack. It's peace of mind that's worth the effort. Visit the website, UnitedPatriotCoin.com, or you can order by phone. You call them 844-202-7834. Be one of the first people to get the new Patriot Pack with the snap-apart silver ounces. UnitedPatriotCoin.com. Use promo code CHAD10.
Yeah, my answer is I don't know. Somewhere and I wish I did. I
Yeah,
don't know why it is so offensive because but I always answer these types of questions with another question, and that is if we are really dedicated to being inclusive, then why can't everyone be included?
mm,
Why can't the woman who, I mean, let's just pluck a random uh, hypothetical example. Why can't the woman who maybe does not want to go and pursue higher education but wants
yeah,
to get married and have children, why can't she be included in this choice quotation marks that all feminists say that we have to make for ourselves?
mhm,
They love to say, "Oh, my choice, my choice, my choice," but if someone is not choosing what you think they're choosing, then all of a sudden they are stupid or uneducated or you're keeping people back. No, if we're going to be inclusive, then why can't everyone be included? And it's the same question. I mean, this question of inclusivity, I think, stretches. It talks about, when you put it in the context of, women and feminists,
Yeah.
but it also stretches. I mean, look at our schools right now. Some schools are so obsessed with inclusivity that they will mandate that children learn about all of these laundry list of things that are quite frankly not educational, but completely flip out if there is, say, a poster of the 10 commandments in
Yeah.
the classroom. You know what I mean? Okay, so you're teaching about maybe all of these different religions, all of these different ways of life, right? But you're flipping out because including the 10 commandments for a kid who might be a Christian is so offensive to you. That's not inclusivity.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to reconcile it.
I don't know either. It's a strange thing to me. I would think that it would be liberating. Like as we did earlier, it's easy for me to make fun of myself as a man and say that I'm in the bring me something phase of life. There's certain things
Yeah.
there's things that women do. I don't want to do them. I don't want to be a woman. Like there's nothing about being a woman that
It's
appeals to me. Like you girls put up with
It
stuff
ain't
that I'm like,
easy. It ain't I'm gonna just tell you, it's not easy.
I mean, the jokes that we I just don't. There's nothing you guys do. I mean, I mean, y'all are naturally beautiful creatures, but yet you still spend an hour getting prettier. And like, I don't want to do that. I don't even want to brush
It's a
my
lot of
teeth,
work.
honestly. I don't even want to brush my teeth.
It's a lot
I
of
just want to
work.
roll out of bed, eat something, and just whatever. Like, I don't want to do those things. And you girls do it so effortlessly. You put up with so much. I mean, and I don't even think you girls, I don't even think you women, when you do it, I don't even think you're doing it for us men. I think you're doing it for other women. I
No, we're
think you,
doing it for ourselves. I
yeah,
mean, I'll just speak
because you know
personally
that,
here, yeah.
because you know the other girls are going to be talking about you. So you're like, I don't want to. Men are too stupid. Well, like we're just too dumb. But all the facetiousness aside, I have 3 adult daughters. All 3 are college graduates. I have 2, and I can tell you, as college graduates, they have a career, and as college graduates, 2 of them, you know what they wanna do? They wanna get married, and they wanna have babies, and they
Yeah.
wanna have all the babies. They you know what? They value their education, but they wanna get married, they wanna have babies. I got one who, she's career oriented, she loves her craft, she works with children, she does not want her own children, at least at this stage in her life.
Yeah.
24 years of age, she's like, "Nope, they're not for me," and I think she means it. So I look at that and I'm like, why can't we just take the individual choices that people make and say,
Yeah.
listen, it's empowering. I saw a thing the other day where there's a school, they did the little video where this parent came in and confronted a teacher because they were having Kamala Harris Day. Now imagine sending your kid to school and they're having
Mhm,
Kamala Harris
mhm.
Day. And they had already said you can't wear Trump paraphernalia to school. So again, the inclusivity is hogwash. They just want you to agree with what their agenda and narrative is. And if you don't do that, then you
It's
you
true.
you don't get counted. So it's an odd phenomenon.
It's really weird, and I have to listen, I hate to take this well, I lied. I don't hate to take this into a left turn. I'm curious. I really wanna ask you, have you heard because I just somebody recently just brought these to my attention several months ago, and when you're talking about, the one-sidedness and the politics in the classroom and the party lines in the classroom and all that, first of all, no one is teaching children civil discourse anymore. Children are not learning
True.
civics anymore, but have you seen or heard of these 45 declared goals of communism from the book from 1958, The Naked Communist?
Yeah.
These things were, I mean, Chad, I recently discovered these and it blows my mind because so many of the things that are happening now in the schools where people like you and I even, just reasonable people across the board are saying, why are they putting why are they putting the party lines in schools? Why
Yeah.
are they making kids choose between political things? These are not age appropriate. And these things are literally outlined in these 45 goals
Mm.
to for the communist takeover of America. And it seems so out there to even say, oh, okay, maybe this was really, this is what's happening. But when you look at the goals and when you look at what is being done in schools right now, they line up perfectly.
They really do. And my audience, they're sick of me saying this because they've heard it for years. But when the Bolsheviks took over in Russia and instituted communism in 1917, the first thing they did was took the children out of the homes and put them in special schools because they didn't
Yeah.
believe the family was good enough or
Well,
adequate enough to train them to be communists.
here it is right here. Literally, number 41. I mean, you have to just humor me for a minute. Number
Yeah.
41. Emphasize the need to raise children away from the negative influence of parents.
Mm.
Attribute prejudices, mental blocks to suppressive influence of parents. And so you look at this, and then it says, number 17, get control of the schools. Use them as transmission belts for socialism and current communist propaganda.
Mm.
Soften the curriculum. Get control of teachers' associations. Put the party line in textbooks. These are literally, I can't I can't help but think when you connect the dots, okay, we're asking why are all these things happening in schools? Can we there's gotta be a point where we've gotta stop
Yeah.
turning our cheek and saying, "Okay, this is why it's happening in schools." I don't
You
know.
know, whenever I ran for statewide office here in the state of Texas a couple of years ago, the question would come up in these debate forums what I intended to do with public education. My response got a lot of applause, but there were many who didn't like it. I said, "We're going to burn it to the ground," because these academicians.
I know, right? They
Yeah, I'm like, here's you want to really know what I think about it? Burn it to the ground. The Dewey Man system of socialized education that we've engaged in for so long. The communists, the Marxists in our country, they went into academia, they went into the public school system, into the teachers' unions, into the colleges and universities. They're very leftist driven and they're progressive leftist Marxists. And they engaged in what the Marxists know as the long walk. They played the long game and they replaced the values that were there. And the things that you're talking about, these 45 values, they're 100% in line with what you see in the public school system. They've shut down the voices of the parents. They've taken away the parents' rights. The idea that anybody would put their kids in just the average rank and file public school these days. And again, I think the teachers, God bless a lot of these teachers, these
I know.
educators, because they're getting thrust into it as well. And they don't know
Yeah,
what they're
it's
being
true.
exposed to because the curriculum is being handed down. And so it's the idea that anybody would put themselves, my audience for the longest time, I went for an entire year where every episode I reminded everybody not to put their kids in the public school
Oh,
system.
yeah.
And they were sick of hearing it. And I understand that it's difficult because again, you factor in the roles and the modifications of the roles between the parents, the husband and the wife. Now they've created a society where it takes two incomes in order to have a household. And so therefore the public education system. Anyway, I'm here
Yeah.
to interview you.
No, I know, but
It's
no, I
crazy. I get
agree
on a
with you.
soapbox. I get on a soapbox, Jill.
But
It
I no, but
pisses
I
me
like it.
off.
And I thought no, I know, and it's really hard, but, that was something that, just what you said about, talking to parents to take your children out of public schools. Personally, for me and our family, that was something that was so difficult to do
Mm,
because I'll tell you, I was raised I went to public schools, which
same.
frankly explains why I did not know most things that I should have known
Right.
regarding the foundation of our country, what America stands for, our values, our system of government. I did not learn civics like I should have. I did
Mm,
not learn all the things that, I mean, yeah, I'm talking like very basic foundational principles about the United States. I did not learn them. I went to public schools. At the time, I thought I was in very good public schools. My sister currently is a public school teacher, fabulous public school teacher at
yeah.
one of the very few school districts that is non-unionized. So she's very lucky and she's very grateful. My mother, rest in peace, was a public school teacher in a non-unionized school district. And so I was raised with this notion of, oh no, our public schools are a wonderful place. And years ago, what was it? 3 years ago was when we decided that we were not going to keep our children in our local public school. We said we got to get them out of here. And it was such a difficult decision to make because I had to unwind every single thing that I had learned. And my husband did too, regarding, oh, the public schools are a great place. It's your neighborhood school. No, we had to unwind everything.
Yeah.
And it was the best thing that we did. The
I,
best thing that we did.
and I like to brag. My son is a math prodigy. We educated him till we couldn't educate him anymore. Then we had to send him to special tutors and schools and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And they wanted him at MIT when he was 15 years old.
Wow. Oh,
He's one of
wow.
those, and he doesn't even look like me. He looks like my old postman, but that's a whole other F word. Sarge. Anyway,
Oh,
I don't know. The kid was born with an abacus in his hand or something like that,
amazing.
but that was a value for us. That was a value for us because we knew that what we had to do was we had to make sure that we I always tell people, I said, for us it was important to make sure they had a value system.
Yes.
Education is one thing, knowing right from wrong is another, but having a value system and the value system that these young impressionable minds are learning in our public education system it's not good. It's just
No.
not good. That's one of the reasons I appreciate your voice so much, Jill, because with PragerU and this idea that people can take the reins back when it comes to educating their children and actually
Mhm.
find joy in being a
Mhm.
parent.
Yeah.
You had the blog, The Fab Mom. You might have been ambushed by parenthood and motherhood, but you made it a joyful, fun, fabulous, to use your word,
It was
thing.
fun. Yeah.
And like that's hard. That's hard because most people don't look at that as a fun thing anymore. There's so many burdens, and society, everything from football and soccer and tumbling and cheerleading and all the things that you've got to do and the school activities and the fundraisers and the popcorn and the donuts and the
Yep.
Bible study and it's just people. I don't know how they make it these days. What's your advice to people these days? I mean, to parents, to grandparents, even when they look at a society where values are being lost. How do we get those back?
I think little parts of every single day.
Mm.
For me, I try and find a little part of the day that I can just zoop, inject, inoculate my kids, so to speak,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
something that is positive, that is good, whether it's at the dinner table or when I'm driving them to school or when we are, oh, I don't know, driving them home from school or before we go to bed. Every day is different. Like, okay, last week, I mean, this was something that both of my girls rolled my girls are darling, sweet girls, and we have a great relationship and we're all best friends. But at the same time, I'll give you an example. Last, I believe it was,
What range?
September
What? Don't tell
17th.
me an age, but what age range are your
Middle school,
kids?
middle school.
Middle school. Okay,
Middle school, yeah.
perfect.
So I'll tell you this example. On September 17th, okay, September 17th is Constitution Day.
Right.
Who the heck is thinking about Constitution Day except people like us? No one. No one's thinking of Constitution Day, right? Especially not middle school kids. So when we were together at the dinner table that night, I said, okay, girls, do you know what today is? And they knew it. They said Constitution Day. Yeah, fine. And I said, guess what we're going to do right now? And they look at each other like, oh no. And I took out my phone. I go, we're going to just briefly go through the Constitution of the United States of America. And we're sitting there at dinner. And I said, we did the preamble. And so we read it together. And it literally took 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Literally took 10 minutes. And then I said, okay, Article 1 is about this. The legislative branch. Article 2 is about this. The executive branch. Article 3. And we went through and I did this quick overview and we're laughing. And then they were kind of resisting. And then I said, you're going to listen to this. You kind of have to go into mom mode a little bit. I said 10 minutes, 10 minutes. But those are the opportunities that I use, because if we don't use those little opportunities to sprinkle in things, whether it's a Bible verse, whether it's driving to school saying, "Oh my goodness, did we thank God for this beautiful day today? Thank you, God, for this beautiful day. Hold my hand and show me the way." Even if it's just like these little sprinkles like that,
Yeah.
that's what I do, because we only have them in our house under our jurisdiction for so long.
Yeah.
And my philosophy is, if we don't pour it in every single day, some days is more, some days is less. But if we don't pour something in every single day, the opportunity's gone.
That the thought that comes to my mind is sort of seasoning food, right? The chicken is gonna cook, but
Yes.
you need to season it a little bit. And it's the same way with our kids. The kids are gonna grow, they're gonna cook, their brains are gonna develop, the life experiences, both the genetics, the environment, the exposure, all of those things are gonna make them what they're gonna become as their poor little prefrontal cortex is developing. And we gotta sprinkle a little seasoning on it,
Yeah.
a little salt, pepper, and garlic. And I think that's what you're describing. I think that's a phenomenal way of thinking about, especially these days with kids are bombarded with the screens,
Mhm.
and we're very big advocates for saying let's we've got a good friend of ours who's a therapist named Tessa Stuckey here, who's local. She's been on our show, and she's wrote a book called Look Up, and it's like, get your
Yep.
head out of these screens. They're so poisonous and so
Yeah.
toxic. I mean, there's class action lawsuits right now about how these reels are damaging kids' brains because
Mhm.
they're so addictive. And I saw your episode that you put out on Constitution Day. That's such a phenomenal clip with Charlie Kirk,
Thank you.
where he. I love your show, by the way, Jill. If you're ever questioning it, trust me, there's a lot of people watching it. I love your show.
Oh, thank you.
But that clip where Charlie just has such a way of putting it back on these people.
Mhm.
Where he says, "Do you even know who wrote the
No,
Constitution?"
nobody knows.
She-
No, nobody has any
people
idea.
people have no clue. She says, "Well, we learned that stuff in high school." He goes, "Okay, well, I never went to college. Do you know who wrote the Constitution?" She says, "The founding fathers." She had
No
no
idea.
clue on stuff
Well,
like that. And so
yeah.
I look at what you said earlier about I'm Gen X, right? So I we took a civics class, but I can't say we learned civics. Like, I
No.
really can't say that we learned civics. There's so many things, and I encounter people in my travels around the country engaging in conversation, and they're well-meaning, but they just don't know. They don't know, and it's like, I think what you just described is so cool for just being able to kind of pepper that in and inoculate, inject those things into our kids' lives.
Mhm.
And it doesn't have to be bombarding them, because I
No.
think that's the thing. Kids are already so bombarded with so many
Yeah.
different things. If we could just kind of sprinkle it in there.
And I like to say 5, 10 minutes, because that's what we have a
Yeah.
phrase. So you say seasoning on the chicken. At PragerU Kids, we say we're the cheese and ranch dressing on the broccoli.
Yeah.
So because our videos are literally 5, 10 minutes, maybe
Yeah.
12 minutes long. And so you literally you give, and I'm a big proponent. The irony that I work for PragerU Kids, creating these shows, encouraging families to watch these shows, right, on the screens with their children. But the truth of the matter is that everyone here, I mean, I'll speak for myself and the few people that I have discussed this with, we all believe in very limited screen time. We
Yeah.
believe in quality screen time that's educational. We don't believe in like junk food garbage that's going to poison and rot our kids' brains. The science and the data is there
Yeah.
showing how children are dumbed down and developmentally delayed by too much screen time that is not good for them. But at PragerU Kids, we've made these little short videos where you can give your kids the broccoli for the brain, but it's got the cheese and the ranch dressing, and it's educational and it's in short amounts, so they're not sitting there. And, on our app, you can click into the PragerU Kids app, the kids portion, so you know that everything is wholesome, you know that everything is trusted, and it's something that we're really just really excited about, and we're very thankful because so many people have said, "Oh my gosh, thank you for helping me teach these things that I didn't know how to teach," because newsflash, these are all the things that I didn't learn as a kid, and so
Yeah.
when I watch it with my kids, a light bulb goes off and I say, "Oh, That's how the
Yeah.
Declaration of Independence came to be about. That's what George Washington did. That's why California became a state, or, because we
Yeah.
didn't learn these things.
Isn't it an interesting phenomenon that me growing up at my age, I learned more about civics from Schoolhouse Rock on Saturday morning
Yeah.
than I did going to actual school.
Yeah.
And PragerU sort of brings that back without the music, but PragerU with the
Well, we're working on
animation.
that. We're working on that. That's a little teaser. We're
See,
working
I
on it.
see, and after having been with the Blaze for 6 years, I've told him over and over again, I'm going to leave and go work for PragerU. I got to call Dennis on the phone and be like, you know what? Just bring me on because I love what PragerU does. I share what they do. I share what you guys put together. It's creative. The animation is there. The information, as you said, it's compact. It's capsulized form truth that just
Mhm.
really and I use those links all the time. I share them with people. I'm like, why do
Thank
I want to
you.
debate this person? I just would share it with them. I
I
can
know.
share the curriculum all the time. So I'm happy to hear that you guys are doing all these creative things because there's you can consume pablum, you can chew the cud, right?
Mhm.
There's very little nutritional value in a lot of the reels and the stuff that kids are being exposed to these days, and even the adults. Let's be fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like Donald Trump when I say, "Let's be fair." Uh, but I but then there's some good nutritious stuff. You can consume the mental junk food, and PragerU puts the stuff out there that I think makes people think. It engages, and so. Listen, and you're an Armenian American, which
Mhm.
by today's definition, you're black. Okay, like if Kamala Harris, whatever, everybody that is whatever hyphenated American, you're just black. Okay,
Yeah.
Jill, you're a person of color. So you know what? You got to capitalize on that.
Oh, you're making me laugh. You're making me laugh so much. But here's the thing though. I don't think I would be categorized like that because let's be honest. Many people with religious beliefs are, we're horrible people, right?
Right, right,
We're just terrible. We're clueless. We're so, uh, you know, fortunately for Armenians, we were the first, we're recognized as the first Christian nation, the first
right.
nation to officially adopt Christianity. So, I don't know if I would be accepted into the other camp.
Probably not. Like I always say, I'm public enemy number one. I'm a white heterosexual Christian male that wears a cowboy hat and makes videos in his truck with a dog in the back seat. I am public enemy number
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
There's a mark on me. If you look at TikTok, I'm currently the most racist person in America for calling out Kamala Harris and her fake accent and stuff. How do we? I saw TPUSA. Charlie had an event just I guess it was this past weekend, and I saw just a sea of the red hats on these young college age boys. I don't know if you saw that clip or not.
I didn't. I
Um,
haven't
it,
seen it
it
yet.
it was encouraging to see that. I don't care about the red hats. I don't care about that. But when I see these young boys like in the middle of these pro-Palestinian protests, and they're out there in the rain, and they're holding the American flag up,
Mhm. Oh, I've
and
seen that.
you've
Yes.
seen that, and
Mhm.
and these little demonstrations of this next generation that gives me hope that says these boys and these girls they were raised right in more ways than one, not just
Yeah.
correctly, but also with a value system that says, hey, listen, we're going to take personal responsibility, which is to me the essence of being on the right.
Mhm.
um, and I'm encouraged by that, but then I hear some of the brainless, mindless, intellectually lacking stuff out there that tends towards the labeling and the name calling and the classifications of everything from racism to homophobia to transphobia, xenophobia, all the things. And they just when you don't have an idea in the free market of ideas of how to engage that critically, it concerns me. How do we get this country back? How do we get this generation back? And I say this adults included
Yeah.
because this is a big thing for me. We don't know how to think critically.
We
Like, that's
don't.
that's a huge thing that's missing. What do we do?
And I have gone over this also, on a personal level as a mom, as a grown woman. I was not raised with the skill set of knowing how to have respectful civil discourse.
Mm.
Somewhere that got lost. In school, at home, I don't know. I've tried to break it down, but
Were you a
somehow
mean
it
were you a mean girl?
No,
Jill, were you
I actually was not a mean girl. I was actually the type of person, and quite frankly, I still am the type of person where if I am listening to someone with an alternative point of view,
Mhm.
I will maybe too much find myself being very empathetic and saying, "Oh my goodness, I understand. You know what? You have a point there. Oh, well, maybe
Mhm.
now I don't think about it that way." Now, I am very much that
I
person,
can
and I
relate to
always
that.
have been.
I can relate to
And
that.
yeah, and I mean, I'm very strong in my own beliefs, but if I see someone else defend an opposite point of view, I find myself understanding, well, I can understand how they say that, and well, they have a point there, and I can recognize, and I can be
Yeah.
generally fair and reasonable. For kids and adults, we have gotten away from really learning how to talk to each other.
Mm.
And I got to tell you, when it comes to kids, the solution that comes to the top of my mind is, if we teach children very young that we are more the same than we are different, I think that that would maybe establish
Mm.
that foundation for when we start, going in different directions with different beliefs. That foundation of we are all the same is too strong to knock down.
Mm.
Like, little kids now, you take any given example from any school across the country that is implementing these diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI practices, you will see the books that they read to children. Quite frankly, many of them are promoting racism to children,
Mm.
making children point out, well, that child has brown skin, that child has white skin, that child is different, that child is different. And it's separating kids from a very young age, which is so wrong. If we teach each other what our shared cultural literacy is, the history that we have in America that pertains to all of us, the shared values that as young people, middle-aged people, old people, we believe that hard work will pull you out of a dire situation. We
Mm.
believe that if you treat everyone equally, that is we are called to do that from God. We are created equal under God. If we start teaching that children are more alike than different, I think that's the great starting point.
I
And
think
not to
that's
be
great. That's a
scared,
great
not to
point.
be scared to talk about things with someone of a different opinion, because right now we are teaching kids to be scared and to be confrontational. And if you're a brown child and you're a white child, well, guess what? The white child, you're the oppressor by default, and the brown child should feel scared of you, white child.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, I'm not a psychologist, but isn't that the most unhealthy thing you can do to a child?
Yeah. And I've tried to remind everybody that social media isn't the real world.
No,
Um,
it's not.
you don't engage people in the real world like you do on social media. You don't walk in a
Mhm.
restaurant and immediately start, saying, trying to figure out who votes for who.
Yeah.
Sometimes you could spot them.
Yeah.
And sometimes you could spot them, but I'm not gonna treat you with disrespect just because,
Mhm.
my assumption might be that you would be someone that disagrees with me on the basis of your appearance or something like that. I mean, that's
Mhm.
the essence of stupidity, really,
Yeah.
and it borders on bigotry in a lot of ways, and I just don't think that the average person operates that way. I think that we are inherently a selfish people. We're inherently sinful, if you will,
Right.
but at the same time, I think we don't necessarily just have just out and out ill will for the average person we encounter on the street. I know, here in Texas, if I'm driving my truck down the road and I see somebody jogging on the side of the road and we sort of make eye contact, I wave at them. I don't
Yeah.
pull over and ask them if, what yard sign they have
Yeah.
and who they're voting for. So I love that point that you make that we're more alike, and there is some empathy and I will say from my perspective, I love it when somebody, even if I disagree with them, I love it when somebody has a critical, well thought out response.
Mhm. Yeah.
Not, well, we hate Trump. Oh, okay. I mean, okay.
Can you do I say, can you describe?
Yeah, I like
Right?
I can understand why a lot of people might hate him.
Yeah.
I can understand. But can we go further than that? So,
Mhm.
it's you have a message, and I appreciate that. Your voice is resounding. It's a clarion call. It really is, and I think it's so relevant to parents, grandparents. And I tell in my live shows, I tell grandparents all the time. I was like, "Listen, you got to get your grandkids because your kids failed them. They taught them
Mm.
PlayStation and Amazon.com, and
Yep.
you're going to have to step in here a little bit in whatever method that takes." And Of course, I have a comedy song called "Beat That Ass," which you could take that however you want, but we got to get back to a little discipline in one way or another. Whether it's, I'm not just talking about corporal punishment, but I'm talking about
Standards.
disciplining our minds and having a
Standard,
standard,
yes.
the right and wrong. I was in my girlfriend CJ and I, we were in a beach shop in Florida. You know, where they sell it. It's, you buy 3 shirts, you get 1 for free. It's
Yeah.
every beach store in America. And I was in the back and I was just looking at stuff. They got crap. I mean, they got crabs in boxes and whatever, flip flops everywhere and puka shells. And these parents were in the back and they were doing everything they could to hold on to their sanity with these 3 children that had escaped from Dante's third ring of the Inferno. These kids were raising pure hell. And I mean, and then the
Oh.
mom was mad at the dad because the dad wasn't doing dad stuff. And it was just brutal. And I was like, I wanted to chuckle, but I felt for these people because I was like, these people are on the verge of literally ruining their day. And it was only
Mhm.
8:30 in the morning and you're supposed to be on vacation. And I look at that and I'm like, okay, folks, let's just take a deep breath. People have always been wild and crazy. Kids have always been rebellious. And the trick has always been, how do we bring some meekness to these wild animals and get their brains back, where the
Yeah.
power is under control. And I think you're doing a fine job of that. And
Thank you.
yeah, you know what? Uh,
We believe in standards and expectations,
yeah,
and that's one thing I think that has lapsed so sadly in schools, especially here in California. I mean, teachers' hands are tied now.
yeah,
Kids who have severe behavioral disruptions, literally things like throwing chairs across the room, you cannot suspend those children anymore. That's by way of
right,
California law, which is very sad. So in our schools, we've seen the degradation of any kind of expectations and discipline. And even at home, we've seen the decline of discipline. And I'm not talking about, like you said, I'm not talking about corporal discipline by any means. I'm talking about discipline to take your plate to the sink
yeah,
after you're done with your dinner, or to empty the trash can, not because you're going to earn an allowance for it, but because you live in this house and you're a part of this family. And in this family, we all help each other in maintaining this home. We've
yeah,
lost the ability to I'm going to say I have not lost the ability because expectations and standards are alive and well at my house. You can ask my kids. But generally speaking, I have seen so many parents ignorantly and innocently just relinquish any kind of expectation
yeah,
or implementing any kind of responsibility on their kids. And
yeah.
that's what's really sad. And you're cheating the kids.
Have you seen the phenomenon? I've seen it for a long time now. Um, some people close to me, actually, and I won't call them out, but they know who they are. This phenomenon of trying to be your kid's friend,
Oh, yes,
you know,
yes,
that's
yes.
that's I, and I understand wanting to be, familial with your friend, with your kids, and have
Mhm.
fun with your kids, but there's got to be that demarcation, that delineation. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, have you seen
Well,
that?
I have seen it, and I will tell you, my mother and I were so close. I mean, I used to say, "Oh, my mom is my best friend and my sister's my second best friend." I mean, we
Yeah,
were close, 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 but, if I were to misbehave or give any attitude or do anything that any normal teenager did, I did not want my mother to know because I knew that my mother was going to call me out and come after me and all you know what would break loose.
yeah,
So that said, to the parents that might think, well, it's too hard to say no. It's hard, but as parents, we do it anyways because we're looking at the long game. We need to raise people who are responsible, respectful, capable, self sufficient. And from experience, I will tell you 1,000%. My kids love me. I love my kids. They will tell you the same.
yeah,
We are friends. I joke, you guys are my best friends. And they go, yeah, you're kind of our best friend too. We joke, but we are. There is that closeness there. But you better believe it when there is a normal preteen teen situation, there is discipline and consequences involved that
Yeah.
are appropriate, and they know, "Uh-oh, we were out of line. Uh-oh, we can't do that again." So it is possible to implement disciplines and standards and also, yes, be friends with your kids because your kids will be a little bit I don't know how to articulate this, but regardless of if you are insisting on consequences, your kids are still going to be friends with you. And the
Yeah.
closeness, I think, is more sincere and deeper, and they respect you more.
Yeah, there's a love bond that's there.
Yeah.
There is a bond that's there, and I think that that bond creates a respect. But yeah, the lack of discipline that's there, the kids that don't pick up their plate and take it and dump their stuff in the trash or make their bed or yeah, there's a
And
it
those are
doesn't.
just trivial things.
They
Those are
are.
trivial, but
They take you
those
far in
little
life.
things, they take you far and they set the foundation. They
Yeah,
set the foundation, and then from there, you build on that. That's
yeah,
kind of how I look at it.
yeah. Well, I want you to keep up the good work. I want you to come back on the show sometime
Thank
soon, when
you.
we can pick out some of the little, current event things that are going on and make fun of them. But I
That'd
wanted
be fun.
I wanted our audience to get to know you. I wanted to get to know you. I've been a fan of what you're doing for a long time, and I'm really thankful, for PragerU and PragerU Kids and what you're doing because I remember my own oldest daughter who's in education, and I told her, I said, listen, there's some options as an educator, as a teacher. You don't have to go into the public school system to teach. And I said, there's curriculums that are out there, PragerU out there, if you wanted to start a co-op and all these things. And so it was always something very relevant and necessary. And I think people are looking for those resources these
Thank
days,
you.
and you're providing them.
We are,
And
and the exciting part too is, yes, all of our resources are free. They are free
mhm,
for parents, they're free on our website. You can watch everything. Everything is free, free, free. You can download many of our books. But the most exciting part now, Chad, is that we're branching into public schools.
yeah,
So we've partnered with 8 different state departments of education where teachers in those states can select to use our PragerU Kids materials in their classrooms for free
mhm,
without any fear of legal retaliation or anything.
yeah,
So it's really exciting. So we're expanding our reach.
yeah.
And we're just really excited about it because the object of the game is to educate and raise kids to love our country and to know our country and to know how to protect it.
Yeah, and you guys have you've taken the guesswork out of it for educators. You've done the legalities, you've done the things that are necessary so that they can operate without fear to do that, and that's an important thing because I think there's a lot of people without direction. They don't really know where to go. They want to do it, the values are
Mhm.
there, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Well, I don't know where to take these kids." So I appreciate that. That's
Take
really
them to
good.
pragerukids.com.
Prager U, and that's a U. That's Prager U.
pragerukids.com.
Kids
That'll take you straight to the
dot
kid stuff.
com and
Mhm.
follow Jill Simonian. I just like
Thank
saying
you.
Simonian.
Thanks.
Yeah, it just rolls off the tongue. I just keep doing what you do. I love your
Thank you.
content. I love your show, and just keep on plugging away. It's fun.
Thank you so much.
You're
Big
good
fan of
at it.
you.
It's almost like you've been doing this forever.
I don't know. We're trying.
Yeah.
Just hanging in there.
All right, guys. I want you to follow Jill. Follow her on all the social media. I mean, there's only one Jill Simonian out there.
I hope
Simo
so. Yeah.
Nian. Simonian. You
Yeah.
you can find her. I promise you. That ain't a hard name to find. But follow her on the socials. Check out her content. And she's a lot of fun, and she's good at what she does. And support PragerU Kids. Utilize PragerU Kids. There's absolutely no excuse for you not to do that. And likewise, go to watchchad.com. That's the most vain web address on the planet. But you'll find my live schedule. You'll find where all the fun stuff is. You can come out there and find me at a live show somewhere across this country. I would love to hang out with you, get to know you, and have some fun with you. And again, we love reviews. We love 5-star ratings. And we like for you to help push this thing higher. So hit the like button wherever you're watching this. And if you're listening, please share it. And make sure your family and friends know about it as well. Make sure your family and friends know about Jill and PragerU Kids, because I don't know if you know this or not, but most people out there, y'all have kids. So utilize these resources. I love you. God bless you. And we will talk to you next time. Bye.